Welcome to another exciting episode on our series, Keys to Generational Wealth. And we have someone here, someone very special to us, Dr. Olumide Emmanuel. Welcome, Doctor.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Nice to be here with you.
Thank you so much for the honor. So let's dive in, Doctor. We will be talking about diversification in real estate, a key to transgenerational wealth. And we would like our audience to know what they should look out for when they're starting out. Should they start with the commercial space, shortlet or luxury, or can they mix both up if they're starting early, if the funds is available?
Well, it depends on a lot of factors. Like I've said over and over again, if you know better, you'll do better. Real
That's
estate
right.
is very, very important because it's the only vehicle of wealth creation that also doubles as a vehicle of wealth retention. So it does not just help you to create wealth, it helps you to retain wealth. It hedges against inflation, hedges against devaluation. So when you are going to real estate, you have to be able to determine whether you would like to stay in one aspect of real estate or you want to diversify. And I always advise people to diversify. Number one, I advise that people should diversify across different types of real estate investment. So for instance, if you go into real estate, some people just say, well, all I do is land banking. That's not enough, because if all you do is land banking, that means you have assets, but it's not a cash flow producing asset, and that would be a limitation. So you can do land banking. Then some people say, well, I just do residential. All I do is residential. But okay, if all you do is residential, then at a point you're going to be getting less than you're supposed to get, because for instance, when we're talking about return on investment, we also have to talk about percentage return on investment. So if for instance you get a property for 100 million and you are getting, let's say, 5 million a year for rent. So if we divide 100 by 5, that means it takes you 20 years to recover your money just using that as a simple mathematics. But if you use the same property for short let,
Diversification.
and you are getting maybe 200 per night,
Yeah.
that means in 2 years, you can actually, even in a year, you can recover your money depending on a lot of factors. So I advise people, do all you can do. So whether it's residential, commercial, join everything together. And as long as you have the resources, the technical know-how, and you have the opportunity available to be able to explore that. And then when it also comes to diversification, I also advise people to diversify across geography.
Okay.
Because sometimes we've seen what's happening. Look at what's happening in Ukraine right now.
Yeah.
Imagine that all your investments in Ukraine or in Gaza.
You won't have anything to fall back.
Yeah, there are a lot of people, even in this country, Nigeria. I think you were in one of the meetings where the man that came from Iran, the 71-year-old man, I said there are about 4,000 hectares on land, but he has not been able to enter the land for almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Because of herdsmen. All his money is devalued.
It's just in one place.
So at the end of the day, you need to also diversify across geography. So that you are not just having all your investment in only one country or only one region. And then you also need to diversify across currency. So that you are not just making money in naira, you can make money in dollars. And so it's all a function of mixing everything together and making sure that you have, a piece of the pie in all the different zones. Wow, great. Thank you so much. So in real estate terms, you often hear that we shouldn't put all our eggs in one basket. It goes with what you just said before. So how do we mitigate against the risk, especially in an unstable economy like Nigeria? Yeah, you see, life is all about perspective. Some people will tell you, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And some people will tell you, own the basket. Because when you say don't put all your eggs in one basket, what you have done is you have psychologically attributed the egg to the people and the basket to somebody else. So what if I own the basket and everybody brings their egg in there? So it will not be my egg, it will be his egg, our egg, their egg. Eggs. All of them bring their one egg into my basket and I own the basket and all the eggs. So that's what we should be thinking about. We should be thinking ownership. We should be thinking big, thinking global. You can still look and think global. So you may start small, but don't think small.
Yeah. So
when it comes to that perspective of thinking, I would say that if you have diversified the way I've said earlier on,
like owning the basket?
No, as regards to diversify across geography, across currency, everything cannot go wrong at the same time.
That's right.
So that helps you to mitigate against whatever comes, because in this life, you can do everything right and still be wrong. So that's the way it works. You remember what the Nokia, the former CEO of Nokia, when Apple came and
then
took over,
them off.
He said, we did everything right, but we still lost. So you can do everything right and still be wrong, because we live in a destructive world and anything can just happen. No business plan really goes according to plan. So just be ready to make sure you are able to adjust as you go.
As you go. Thank you so much. So, being an investor and like a seasoned investor, what would be the expected ROI, returns on investment, and what advice would you give someone? Should they start with the commercial property, the residential property? Which one is like the sweet spot for somebody that is just starting out? Where is the main money that if I start with land or residential?
It depends on a lot of factors: where you are based, the geography, how much you have, the opportunities that you are aware of.
Okay.
Because there are opportunities that are available that people are not aware of.
True.
And you know, when I started talking a few years ago about cemetery, people are like,
why cemetery?
Why cemetery? But you see, there's so much money in that field that people have not even discovered. People are not even aware that they can start a cemetery and they can be making money. You want to sell one plot of land, but that's a one plot of land can have 50 or 100 dead bodies. And then you are making 100 money. So it depends on a lot of factors. So for me, sometimes if you say, is it residential or is it commercial? It depends on location. There are locations in Nigeria now. If someone has a commercial property in Songo, or you have a residential property in Banana Island, you see that you make more money with your residential property in Banana Island than your commercial property in Songo. But if somebody has a residential property in Banana Island and somebody else has a commercial property in the same Banana Island, you will make more money than the other person. So commercial property tends to give you more money than residential property, more returns than residential property, more security than residential property. Because most of the time when you are dealing with commercial, you are dealing with corporations. So it's not that you are renting to an individual. Most of the time you are renting to corporate. And then most of the time you are talking 5 year, 10 year, 20 year, 30 year lease. Instead of somebody that will say, I lost my job, I can't pay rent, please give me 6 months. So I think at the end of the day, in some locations, commercial does better, but in some locations, it's all a function of residential, high rise, you know, luxury apartments, and so it depends.
It depends on where you find yourself, where you are looking to go into, and then you can. Thank you so much. So we have many Nigerians who are looking to invest abroad, right? But they are thinking of how to go about it. So would you advise that they can look into investing abroad? Can you talk more on Detroit houses? Because I know you have something in the US, and what people stand to gain when they look into that investment.
Now, what we have done over the years, because all those that are within my mentorship, I try to help them to understand the importance of multiple streams of income across geography and across currencies and all those stuff. And when a lot of people hear me say, they say, oh, but doctor, it's not easy like that to go and buy a house in London, buy a house in America. Where do we get the money? And I began to push the idea of fractional ownership. So we started with Nigeria. People come together, own a property. So by the time you want to buy a property of 35 million, 100 million,
afford that.
You can't afford it. 5, 10, 7 of you can come together. And we did it in Lagos. It was okay, let's move it abroad. So we started the fractional home ownership. And with $100,000, you can either get a house for yourself that will give you at least $1,000 a month. Or you come together with people, 2 people 50,000, 4 people 25,000, 10 people 10,000. So but it's minimum of 10. So with $10,000, you grant 10 of you own the property, and if you're able to do 10,000 every year, that means in 10 years you will have become a 10% co-owner of 10 properties, which can become one house for you if 10 of you are together. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win, and we've been doing that now for a few years, and it's been going well. So the reason why we have stayed in Detroit is just because that is where, you know, I have been able to master the game and have all the people that can make it happen. Because we buy the houses, auction or foreclosure, you need people to do the renovation, you need people to manage it, get tenants. So we can do it in all the states in America. But we have stayed in Detroit for those unique reasons. For instance, now we have, you know, opportunities to do that in other states. But if I get the house, maybe I go for auction and I get the house for 70,000 or 60,000. Who will renovate and all? Who will renovate? Am I going to stay here and be renovating? No. So I don't have the people in most of those states. So I still had a meeting just this week with someone in Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, someone in Chicago, and they still got the same thing of, they got properties less than $100,000.
Wow.
But now the question is, who will renovate it? So I said, let me just stay with the one that so
where you have the
so anyone
context.
listening to us right now, if you want to be they should just contact you if they are interested, and then we'll see what we'll know what is happening part time, because right now we are doing another set now. This is like the 6th one this year, and I think we have 4 more slots for that set. So but by the time they are watching this, that may have gone, but they should just contact you. We'll know what's happening as at when they are ready.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So finally, when it comes to legacy, what are the top 3 mistakes people make that they are unable to pass down wealth through across generations? Because we notice that some people build that wealth, but by the time it gets to the 3rd level of generation, it's not flowing again. What are the mistakes, and how can it be avoided for generations?
Okay, so you see, when you look at our climb, building transgenerational wealth requires a lot of skills, understanding, and mindset that many people don't have.
Okay.
One thing you notice that majority of people that go into business, they go into business for survival.
Survival.
So the many people go, I'm tired, let me just start something to take care of myself and my family. So when many people started out, they started out with a survival mindset.
Okay.
You see, a survival mentality cannot build a transgenerational business.
Wow.
So except you're able to quickly identify the error of that and make adjustments, there's no way you can do that. So you need a transgenerational mindset
to build
a transgenerational business. You need a transgenerational spirit to build a transgenerational business. You need a transgenerational strategy to build a transgenerational business. So those 3 things are the missing link. So because most of the time, the first generation is a pioneering generation. They pioneer, they go through the grind, they start the business. But by the time they're able to build the business, while they are building the business, they give birth to children. The children are seeing the parents, okay, and then
they don't have that mindset.
They don't have, they're like, okay, before you know it, the children grew up and the parents are like, I don't want to suffer what I suffered. So they send them to private school. Before you know it, they are drivers. And so that next generation are like, okay, what daddy and mommy has done, let's maintain it. So the second generation is most of the time a maintenance generation. By the time the 3rd generation comes, those don't even know anything about poverty. So they become an entitled generation. So by the 4th generation, they go back to the beginning again.
Square one.
Why? Because they will have lost it. So what needs to happen is every generation must be a pioneering generation. So when the 4th generation is pioneering, by the time the next generation comes, they take over and pioneer by bringing what has been built to the generation that they are in. So it's all about upgrading, rebuilding, repositioning, rebranding. It's the same business, but now reaching the world in a different way. And the 3rd generation does the same. That's how it goes. So, and then one aspect that people need to understand is the days of wheels are over. Because most of the time, people also start business to say, I want to hand over to my children. The children are not interested. So you have a lot of people now. Right now, we have hotels for sale, schools for sale, chambers for sale, hospitals for sale. That people are not interested. They've sent their children abroad. In the bid to give the children a better life, they have lost their children. Send them to abroad. The children go abroad. They say, oh, Dad, I don't care. I mean, one guy was still at home. Came to there's a story of a guy that came to Ogbomoso with the father. The man has loads of houses, and he came home after like 16 years. And the dad was saying, he said, Dad, I don't need this. I'm going to sell it up. Once you die, I'm going to sell everything. I'm going to sell it up. He was telling the man that once you die, I will sell everything. And this is a man that had millions of dollars.
Selling it up will also die everything.
So the man just said, well, let me just enjoy my life. So what people need to understand is that the children are not going, they say, I want to start a business for my children. That's the wrong mindset. Now, that mindset has expired. Don't start business for your children. Start business for yourself and for your world. That you want to make a difference. You want to offer quality products. You want to make impact. Your children are not your retirement plan, and they are an entity of their own. Let them plan their life. Except you want to do the mafia style, the Italian style, or the say, I gave birth to you, I can kill you. So this is the family business. You have no dream, no vision. I am the one that gave birth to you. This is the vision. Any other vision. So if you want to do that one, well, that's your, because some people do that either through fear or through, because the Asians and the Jews do that, but they do it through a vision that is understood by the next generation, but they still have issues. So the best way is do the business, make it impactful, make a difference, grow it, then let it be in a trust. So your family will retain ownership.
Sure. Wow.
But somebody else has the management. So other people can say your children can own the business, but they don't have to work in the business. They can be anywhere in the world pursuing their dream. They can do whatever they want to do, but they know that these are family business, and then they are getting their return, and then somebody else is managing it and also making money.
Wow.
And the world is a better place.
And then that way they are able to retain it generations to come. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and honor. We are so grateful. Sir, what's your final word for people watching? Because I know you have already given us like a master class already, but what's your final word for our audience? 1,000
good intentions are not as powerful as one action. You see, in the world we live in today,
Dr. Olumide said,
information is everywhere. But the question is, what are you doing with the information? Some people will listen to this, oh, that's wonderful. I like the man, I like that lady. Ah, they spoke well. That's true.
But they won't do anything about it.
The one you heard last year, what did you do? The one you heard 10 years ago. You know, so because people just keep thinking that a miracle will just happen, their life will just change. Nothing just happens. If it's going to be, it's up to you, because an object will remain stagnant until the first survive. So my final word is, get to work.
Get to work and act now. Thank you so much, sir. That's so powerful. And then to everyone watching, you've heard it all. We just had a master class already. I don't need to say so much. If you want to build transgenerational wealth, you need to start now and do what is expected of you with all the information you've heard now. So please feel free to like, comment, and share this if you want to build wealth that would outlive you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for having me.